Hello students, after completing the series of lectures on different statements that are required to write a C program, that is the declarative statement, assignment statement, iterative statement, conditional statement, input-output statements, and unconditional statements. I discussed the basic fundamentals required, and there are a lot of many other things that I have not covered, and I'll be covering those concepts in the coming lectures. My methodology for teaching is that I first make student familiar with the terminologies of the subject so that he understands the structure of the subject and its basic concepts, and he starts understanding the language of that particular subject, and then we can go ahead in building the concepts and moving to the from the basics to the advanced level. Today we are going to discuss another important concept in C. In fact, this concept is in all the programming languages, that is arrays. Now, what are arrays? Why do we need arrays? As we have seen that we give name to the memory locations by using declarative statement. For example, I want to create a or reserve a memory location for storing a number, and I want to name that location as A and store integers in that location. I will use the statement int A semicolon. This we have discussed at detail, and you must be familiar right now with the declarative statements. We also discussed some of the rules for naming a variable. The important rule was, rather it was one of the rules, that the variable name should be unique. Why the variable name should be unique? The reason is that if we want to assign a value to a variable or display the contents of a variable or input a variable from a keyboard, and if two variables seem to have the same name, it will lead to conflicts, and the CPU will be confused where to store the data or where from to retrieve the data. So variable names must be essentially unique, that is, two variables should not have the same name. Now consider the scenario where we are required to have, suppose, 1000 variables. So we need to create 1000 different names, and remembering those names will be very difficult. What is the way out of this? Secondly, when accessing the variables, we should remember their names. Therefore, if you want to add or subtract thousands of variables, you have to mention the name of every variable in the arithmetic expression. Therefore, data handling will be cumbersome and tedious when you are having thousands of variables or hundreds of variables. It will make programmers' life very difficult. What is a way out of it? Way out of it is arrays. In arrays, what we do, we identify the set of locations and give it a group name. and then using that group name we can individually access each location. I am giving the informal way of understanding the concepts of an array, but as we move ahead with this presentation I will formally define what arrays are in a computer science. Now you remember array is simply a group of variables which have a common name. Then how do we identify each variable separately? You will understand as I go through this lecture and as I show you the implementation of the same in IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment. What is IDE? This will be clear to you after few more lectures. Right now I am making you familiar with the term IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. It is a programming environment where you can write your programs and you can compile them and you can edit them. What I have been calling the compiler so far, now I will call that as IDE, because using a compiler word is not a proper way of what you call naming the IDE or understanding the IDE. Now let us see the syntax for declaring and initializing the arrays. For declaring an array or group of variables that share the same name, as I have defined, array is a group of variables that have the same name. You have to first declare the data type of variables. Of course, the data type of all the members or variables that are present in the array will be same. That is, suppose one variable in the array is integer, all variables will be integers. Right now you again remember this, that array is a set of variables or group of variables with a same name. Now again they have the same data type. Having a group of variables of same data type, we call that as homogeneous variable. Homogeneous variables mean homogeneous variables. By homogeneous variables I mean the variables with same data type. Let us understand the syntax for declaring the array. First we give the data type, then we give the array name, then in the bracket we give the size of an array. By size of an array I mean the number of variables you want to create in that array. Then we give a equal to and we give the value of all the variables. Suppose we have given size as 4, we will give 4 values to initialize those variables, and these values are optional. You can give them or you cannot give them. In case you give them, all the variables in the array will be initialized to those values, and if you don't give them, array variables will be initialized to junk values. This is the rule which you already know. Now here n should be up to size. That is where if size is 4, it will be value 1, value 2, value 3 and then value 4. You will have to give 4 values. Let us see the syntax for declaring a variable which you already know. Now if I have to declare a variable x, I first declare its data type. You have done it so far. I say int x. So x is a variable which can hold a value which is of integer type. So x is a single memory location, 2 bytes in size, on which integer operations can be performed. and the name of the location is X. It has got a address as well. As I told you, a memory location has three properties. One is data type, so the data type of the location will be int. One is the name, so the name of the location is X, and one is the address. Now, what are we doing here in this statement? We are basically creating four variables, but with the same group name. But of course, each of these variables will be having separate names. How we give them separate name, that we'll see. First, I say the data type, then I give the array name, then within square braces, these braces should be essentially square braces, not curly braces, not short braces. Within that, you give the size. That is the number of the variables you want to create or name. And then terminator. So I have created an array of four variables with the group name as array1. I think this is clear. Let us see the memory representation, and that way it will be clear that what we are explaining up to this stage. Now, first I created a variable X. As you know, this representation I have shown in the previous slides. So far you must have remembered. I assume, suppose the address of that X is 101, and since I have not given value to the X, so it holds a junk value. See here, if I go back, I have created X. It's the location, it has an address, and it has a name X, and it can store integers. Now let us see memory representation of an array. Now I have created an array. As I told you, its size is 4. That is, I am creating the 4 variables. So it will reserve 4 locations for the 4 variables. Who will reserve? Compiler. Now each location will have its own address. Now remains the situation that each location should have a unique name. How we give the unique name to the location is simple. You give the array name followed by square braces, and then you give the integer for the first variable as 0. So the name of this location is array1. I will read it as 1 of 0. You should understand it is array1 square braces 0. Then I have a second variable. Its name is array1 of 1, then array1 of 2, and then array1 of 3. So these are the names that are generated by the compiler, not by you. We only give the group name, and whenever you create an array, the names will start with the array name, and the name of the first variable will be array1 of 0. The next variable will be array1 of 1. The third variable will be array1 of 2, and the fourth variable will be array1 of 3. This is the simplest way you can understand. So if I declare an array of 10 elements, I say int a of 10. I have declared size 10. It will create 10 variables, and the name of the array followed by the number of the element within the square braces will be the name of that particular variable. I hope it's clear. So I have created 4 variables. Once I have a variable, I can assign any value to it. I can print its value. The methods are same what you do with the single variable. Suppose I want to print the value of X, I'll say printf %d, because it's an integer, within double quotes, comma X. Or I want to scan, I'll say printf %d within double quotes, because data type is integer, comma ampersand X. Okay. Or if I want to use it in an expression, I will say X is equal to 10. Or I want to use it on the RHS, I can say Y is equal to X. Same things can be done with the array variable. Now I won't call it as a variable, I will call it as an element. So you must know now, if I say array element, you must know it is a variable. If I say element, now how do I number the variables? I'll say this is variable number 1, this is variable number 2, this is variable number 3, this is variable number 4. But the index of the variable 1 is 1 less than its number. That is, array 1 of 0 is the name of the first element, and array 1 of 1 is the name of the second element, and array 1 of 2 is the name of the third element, and array 1 of 3 is the name of fourth element. This number is 1 less than the element number. So if I want to know the name of the seventh element in an array, it will be array 1 of 6, not array 1 of 7, because I am starting the element numbers from 0. I hope it's clear. Now, the second method of declaring the array is giving them the initial values. That is, giving all the elements of an array as initial values. I declare a single variable. Why I am declaring a single variable? Because you understand this, and the same analogy can be used to understand how arrays, that is, how arrays are declared. Now if I say int y is equal to 90, I create a memory location, I reserve a memory location, give a name y to it, and 90 is stored in it as an initial value and not the junk value, because I am initializing at the point of declaration. This is called as compile time initialization. This initialization is called as compile time initialization. Since there is a single variable, I give a single value, but in here I am creating, sorry, I should write 4 here because I have given 4 values. So I am creating 4 elements. Say I am giving size as 4, then I should give 4 values. Now y is being assigned the value 90. Array of 0 will be having value of 1. Array of 2 will be having value of 2, because second value I am giving as 2. Third value is 7. Third element will be holding 7, and fourth element will be holding 9. I hope this is clear. Now, important things to note. The elements in an array or variables in an array are stored one after another. That is, if there is a first element stored in a particular memory location, the next element will be stored after it, immediately after it, and the third element will be stored immediately after it, and the fourth element will be stored immediately after it. That is, the elements are stored in a sequence. I hope it's clear. If we declare the individual variables, say int x comma y, it's not necessary that y will be immediately after x, because x and y are not what you call array elements. But if whenever you declare the array, you should remember the elements are stored one after another, and this is called as storing in contiguous memory locations. So another important point is elements of array are stored in contiguous memory locations. They have the same data type. Actually, through the array declaration statements, we are not creating a single element, we are not creating a single variable, we are creating set of variables. Then we can initialize those set of variables depending upon the number of variables we have created. This is done. What is done? That is, the size of the array or the number of the elements which we want to create is specified in the size. I hope it's clear. So array is a set of elements which are stored in a contiguous memory locations, and these set of elements have the same group name, but their total name, that is the entire name, is not just group name. With the group name you have to give a number in the square braces. to name that element, and that number is always one less than the element number in an array. I hope this is clear. So two methods of creating the arrays. One is not initializing and another is initializing. Now, what is the naming convention of array elements? I have already discussed. Name of the first element is array name, then within square braces this number 0. We are not starting the number from 1, we are starting from 0. This is important. So array name will be always, for nth element it will be array name square braces size minus 1. If I have declared the array of 10 elements, naturally it will be having 10 variables, but the name of the last variable will be array of 9, and the name of the first element of an array will be always array of 0. This number that we are giving within the square braces is called as index or subscript. Now, the number that is given within the square braces after array name to identify bracket में or refer to a particular element uniquely is called subscript or index. Now, to identify a particular element, it has got a name and the index given in the square braces. Now I won't be using the term number, I'll be using the index. So the index or a subscript of an array element is always one less than its element number. Now we can define the array as the set of elements, actually variables, with same data type, what we call as homogeneous data type, and those elements are stored in contiguous memory locations, that is in a sequence. So array can be defined as set of elements or set of homogeneous elements stored in contiguous memory locations. By homogeneous we mean all the elements of an array have same data type. Okay, next. So this I have made clear. We can say array name, then within bracket index or subscript. This identifies a particular element. Now, how do we give index? So far in the previous two slides, we have given index as a constant. Suppose x of 0, x of 9, x of 8. This identifies the first element, x of 0. X of 9 identifies the 10th element, and x of 8 identifies the 9th element. Because the index starts from 0, but element number starts from 1. I hope it's clear now. So index of an of element is always one less than the element number. Here I am declaring. Now index can be given as a constant and a variable. So far we have given constant, but we can also give index as a variable. Let us clarify this. If I say int I is equal to 4, I am declaring a I, which is not an array, because I am not giving size after this. The indication of the array is that immediately after the array name there should be size in the braces, and this is size is when we give it in a declarative statement. Index is when we give it outside the declarative statement, that is somewhere else. When you give this size, this number in the declarative statement, it will be size, but when you give this number in some other statement other than declarative statement, it will be taken as index or subscript. Now x of 4 refers to the fifth element. I have told it. This array, that is int x of 40, has got 40 elements. The data type of all these elements is int. All these elements are stored in a contiguous memory locations, that is one after another. What is the reason for that? Because that way array handling is easier. For this you will need to have concept of pointers and how the arrays are stored in memory, that is their representation in memory. That is bit advanced level at this stage, but if you know data structures or you can study data structures, in that subject we discuss the representations of an array, that is row major order and column major order, but I will not touch that here. But so far as clear-cut understanding of the arrays is concerned, we need to know the concept of pointers as well as the data structures, and especially the concept of memory representation of an array. But you need not to confuse yourself right now. I am simply giving the hints to those students who are further interested in updating their concepts about the arrays. For them, I can suggest they should read pointers in the advanced level, and they should read memory representations of arrays in computers, that is the row major order and column major order and address computation. But I will come to the main topic now, that is I was discussing how we give the index or subscript of an array. I told you index can be given as a number, which is a constant, which you have seen so far. But I say that index can be given as a variable, and giving index as a variable makes this concept of arrays very powerful concept. And because of this concept that you can give the index as a variable, this makes it possible to handle the array with the help of loops. Otherwise, it won't be possible. That is, the data can be handled as a group. This I will show in IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment. Now, let us see what the following statements mean. Int I equal to 4 semicolon. This means I am declaring a variable I and I am putting a value 4 to it. Now, I am declaring an array int of x which has got size 40. So, size of element, by giving the size of the array, it means the programmer is specifying the number of elements or variables he want to create, and he gives them a group name as x. So a programmer wants to create an array of 40 elements, and if he wants to create an array of 30 elements, he will give 30, and if he wants to create an array of 20, accordingly he can create from array from 1 to n elements. That is, the size of array can be from 1 to n. Now, creating an array of one element is of no use, because you can create a single variable also. Now, if I say x of 4, what does that mean? It refers to the fifth element, as we have already discussed, because the index is 4. Now, x of I should be read as x of 4. Why? Because I has the initial value of 4. So x of I should be read as x of 4 because value of I is equal to 4. Now I am referring to the element by giving the index or subscript as a variable. I am not giving it as a constant. As I told you, there are two ways of giving the index. One is by giving it as a constant, and second is by giving it as an variable. We are discussing now how we give the index as a variable. Now, if I is my index, I should know the value of I. Then only I can know which element I am referring. Since the value of I here is given as 4, I will assume that I am starting my program with this statement. Then this is the second statement, and this is an explanation what is happening. If I say x of 4, it refers to the fifth element. Now, if I say x of I, it should be read as x of 4 because value of I is equal to 4, because I is giving the initial value of 4. Right now, x of 4 is same as x of I. If I say x of 4 by giving a constant 4, that will be same as x of I. Why? Because I has the value 4. Now, if I say I is equal to 9, now x of I will not be x of 4. This is an important point, because I am giving index or subscript as a variable, and variables are those locations which can change during the runtime. Since I am modifying the contents of I to 9, that means the meaning of this statement has altered. Earlier it was x of 4, now it is x of 9. That means it is referring to the 10th element, not the 5th element. Now if I change I is equal to 6, now x x of I refers to the 17th element. Therefore, we can make an important conclusion that if I am referring to the element through a variable, then whatever is the current value of the variable, that element number plus 1 will be referred at that time. That is the meaning of x of I will change from time to time depending upon the changes that are occurring in the variable I. Okay, so I can give index as a variable or as a constant. With constant, the meaning is fixed, or the reference to a particular element is fixed. When I give it as a variable, as an index, as a variable, at that time whatever will be the value of a variable at the point that statement is being executed, that will be the element that is being referred by that statement. Once I go into IDE, you can see it practically. Now, types of arrays. There are many types of arrays. There are single dimensional arrays, two dimensional arrays, three dimensional arrays, n dimensional arrays. Single dimensional arrays are also called vectors. Two dimensional arrays are called matrices. I will not explain this in detail. We can see it later till we have done some programs. But right now you can just remember that whatever concepts of arrays I have given so far, it is about single dimensional arrays. Even though most of the concepts can be applied to the 2D, 3D and ND arrays also, but there is a difference between these arrays that we'll see later. Now, in the C, we have seen there are data types. Now, basically in C, there are three different types of data types. One is primitive data type, or fundamental data type, or basic data type, or compiler defined data type. These are character, integer, float and double. Second is derived data types. In derived data types, we have arrays and pointers. Then we have user defined data types. In user defined data types, we have structures, unions and enumerations. And in C++, in user defined data types, we have got classes. The other two, that's the first two, primitive and derived, are also found in C++. I hope this is clear. Now we can go into IDE and do some programming work on the arrays so that we will understand these concepts. Now, let us create a single variable first. Suppose variable x, don't give it a value. Then I create an array. Int, say array name I give as a. Then I give the size of array as 3. That means I have created 3 variables with the group name a, and the name of the first element is a of 0, name of the second element is a of 1, and name of the third element is a of 2. Now the number which I have given in the name is called an index or subscript, but here I am not giving an index or a subscript. Here I am giving the size of array. So in declarative statement, we are not giving the index of elements, we are giving the size of array. Size of array means the number of the elements or variables you want to create in that group. Now I can say, I can watch these statements first, then I can say first say x of x is equal to 9. Then I can say the first element, that is a of 0, that's the first variable, equal to 9. Okay, let us see what happens in this by using a step mode, because then only you will understand what is happening. Right here. Now, once I go in a step mode, I compiled my program and I am at the first step, that is my main, because I told you program execution always begins at the main. Main is a function. Main is the name of a function. Void is the return type. Then we have got 2 short braces of the main. Then we have got 2 curly braces of the main. So within the curly braces, whatever I have written, will be called as a body of a main. These are the concepts that I am repeating so that you remember them, and I'll be using them in the future classes. Now let us debug and watch. Okay, debug, then watch. I'll be watching two things. One is the variable x, and another is my array. The name of the array is a. Okay, since I'm at the first part, that is first part of the main, I have not entered into the main. These are the statements of the main. These statements will be executed one by one since the control flow is sequential normally. Then we have seen in the previous classes how we alter the control flow by using the conditional statements or iterative statements or loops. Now the first statement that first two statements are executed. X has been created and A has been created. Array has been created with 3 elements. See, 1, 2 and 3. Since I have not given the initial value of X, I am getting some junk value, and I have not given initial value of A, I am getting the junk values for these 3 elements. I think this is clear now. These are not single variables, these are actually 3 variables. The name of the first variable is A of 0, A of 1 and A of 2 is the element of the name of the third element. Now after this I am changing the value of X to 9. Let us see if this value changes. So it has changed, it is 9. Now I am changing the value of A of 0 only and not any other element, simply to show you that these variables can be also handled in the same way we handle the individual what we call variables. Now A of 0 is a single variable with the name A of 0, and in that variable I am storing 9. See here, only A of 0 has changed, that is the first element has changed. Okay, I hope this is clear now, that once I create an array and I create a variable, if I don't give them the initial values, they will be initialized with what you call as junk values. Now let me give the initial values. How do I give the initial values? I give initial values, I have already discussed this syntax. Now X has an initial value of 90. I am removing these two values. Now A, I am giving initial values, but it is not a single variable or it's not a single element, it is a set of elements. As I told you, for variable I will be using now elements. So A has got 3 elements and it is actually 3 variables. Then I will give the values within curly braces. First value will be suppose 20. Next value I am giving to the second variable as 23, and I can give the variable of the value to the last element as -1. Now let me see if these values are being stored in a variables. Now I execute the statements of the main again in a stepwise mode. I see that int of X, now it should be 90, it should not be holding junk value. Okay, it has an initial value of 90. This is called initialization at the point of declaration, when I give initial values in the declarative statement. Same way I am initializing the array A at the point of declaration. So again you see the element 0 has been initialized the value 20, and next element has 23, and the last element has -1. Size of the array is 3, therefore I am giving 3 values. Is it clear? I hope this is clear. Okay, now as I have given the values, it must have been clear to you. The first value is assigned to the first element, then the second value is assigned to the second element, and the third value is assigned to the third element. So the values are assigned in the order starting from element 1 to element n, depends on how many values you have created, what is the size of array you have declared, and as per the size you have to give that many values. If I create A of 50 elements, that means I am creating 50 variables, I should give 50 values. I hope this is clear. Okay, I can, that we'll see later. Now if I say A of 0 is equal to X, these are simply, I am showing you these statements so that your logic becomes clear. Now I am storing a value of X in the first element, that is this value, that is 20. It should change after this statement. Now A of 0 is equal to X, and value of X is not junk, it's 90, so A of 0 will change to 90. See here. So these elements are simply variables, and they can be used in arithmetic expressions, they can be used in printf, they can be used in scanf, They can be used in conditional statements, they can be used in iterative statements. Wherever you want to use them, you can use them. Okay, now let us print the values. If I print the value of x on the screen, I should first give the format. That is because its data type is integer, so format will be %d, comma x. This is how to print the value of a variable. Same way, the array element can be printed, printf. Then I can say %d, %d, close, comma, element number third I will print. A of 2 will be its index because the third element. Okay, but the naming convention I have already discussed. Name of the third element will be A of 2, where here 2 is the index or subscript, but here it's not a subscript. This number, that is A of 3, is not a subscript here it's a size. And once we do it outside the declarative statements or use something like that outside the declarative statement, it won't be called as a size, it will be called as an index, that is element number. Now let us see what are the values that will be printed for x and a. Value of x is initialized to 10, so once I use the printf, I should get, value of x is initialized to 90, so once I give printf, the value of x should come as 90. Now value of first element is 20, second element is 23, and third element is -1. I'm clearing the screen. I'm assigning a of 0 as x, so a of 0, that is the first element, will change. It will not change here, it will change here. This is the program does not change, it is the variable that changes. So now I'll print the value of x. I'll see what is the result. It's the 90 because x has a value of 90 at this stage. If I change the value of x here, after that if I print, the value of x will be different. Now I printed the value of the third element, and the value of the third element by now is -1 because I have not changed the third element at any of the steps. So let us see if it comes as -1. This is how we print. Now if I want to scan the values of x and what you call this, I can simply copy this, then I'll change this printf to scanf to show you how we can use scanf. But in scanf you have to give ampersand also. So where you give ampersand, that is here. In printf you don't give the ampersand. The difference between printf and scanf is syntax is same. Format specifier, format specifier, format specifier, format specifier. Name of a variable, but preceded with ampersand. This is important, which you should remember. So what I am inputting from the keyboard is x, then I am inputting the third element from the keyboard. You will see after this execution of this, x's value will change and value of the third element will change. Then I am printing the same values to make you understand that we can scan the array elements, and this can be done for every element of the array. Now let us see. Now see, initially x is 90. These are the three values that will be given to the corresponding elements. Initially these are junk. Now the array elements have been initialized. Screen is cleared. A of 0 is assigned to x, so a of 0 was 20. Now x has a value of 90, so 90 will be transferred here. Now I scan the value of x first, so I give the value as 89. I press enter. Now see, x has changed it to 89 because I have inputted the value from keyboard and stored it in x. This is the job of the scanf. Scanf inputs the value from the keyboard and stores it in the variable whose name is mentioned in the scanf. Okay. Now I am scanning the third element. My third element had a value of -1. Once I scan it, you will see this -1 was given here in the initialization. Once I scan it, now I give a value as 67. You will see there's a change in the third element. It has become 67. So I can input the values of the element. I can display the values of an array, and I can now let us print it, and you will see what are the values. Value of x has been printed as 89 and value of third element is 67. This program, or this exercise rather, was done to show you how to initialize the elements, how to access the array elements, how to input the array elements from the keyboard, and how to display the array elements. Now I can also show you how we can use these array elements in arithmetic expressions. I can say x is equal to a of 0 plus a of 1. So I am adding the contents of the variable a of 0 and variable a of 1 and then storing that result in x. Since a of 0 is 20 and a of 1 is 23, so what value will be stored in x? That will be the sum of these two, that is 43. Now let us do it again. So I'm running the program. X is again initialized to the value of 90. Three elements have been initialized to these values. First I'm clearing the screen. Now I say a of 0 is equal to x. Through this statement you will see 90 will be stored in a of 0, and now x is equal to a of 0 plus a of 1. So a of 0 is now 90, right, and a of 1 is 23 because I have changed a of 0 here. So 90 plus 23 is 113. So x is 130 after this. So this is how we use array elements in the arithmetic expressions or in assignment statements. You can simply also say a of what you call third element is equal to this. So we can use the array elements in the LHS of the assignment statement or RHS of the assignment statement. Now here again a of 0 is 90 now, a of 1 is what you call 23, so a of 2 will change, it has become 130. Okay, I think through these examples I have shown you how we can access the array elements, how we can print the array elements, how we can scan their values from the keyboard, how we can use them in the arithmetic expression. This is no way different from how we used to use the individual variables in our statements. This is same. So they will be handled like the single variables, and these variables you can input, you can scan, you can display, you can use in expressions, and equally you can compare the values in conditions or relations. Now let us see if the index is given in the form of variable. What does that mean? If I say a of I and I declare another variable called I equal to 0, okay, then I say I is equal to I plus 1. Then I say a of I is equal to 40, and then I say I is equal to I plus 1. Then I say a of I is equal to suppose 45. Let us see what happens in these statements. Now these are the statements of my main. I have declared two variables I and x and another array of 3 elements which I have already created. Now I am seeing what is the meaning of these what you call statements and how these statements are executed, so that you can get the understanding of what you call arrays. I have shown you earlier how we can give numbers as the array subscripts or indexes, and a of 0 means the first element, a of 3 means. Now let us give indexes or subscripts in the form of variables, and let us see what is the meaning of the statements. Now I am using a statement a of I is equal to x. Let us see. Oh, I'm not getting a semicolon here. So statement missing means I don't have a semicolon here. I'll again file it. So my error is removed. I am into execution mode. Now I debug. I have to inspect one more thing, that is the value of I. Okay. Undefined symbol. Okay. I go F7. I say now debug, inspect. Sorry, I have to watch. Debug, watch. Now You can see X has a junk value, I has the junk value, A has the junk value initially. Now I am changing the initial value of I to 0, so I has become 0. You just see here. Then I am changing the value of X to 90. Okay, this has also been changed. Now I'm creating an array of 3 elements. I told you initially actually these variables have the these variables are actually reserved first, then the values are assigned. That is why it is showing the junk values first. Now they will be given the initial values. These are actually 2 steps. First is the declaration of the variable, that is binding the name of a variable to the memory location. Then it comes what you call assigning a value, that is initializing at the point of declaration. These are actually these operations are done in 2 steps. So that is why initially it is showing the junk values, and this step after it is being performed in the declarative statement, you will get the initial values at 20, 23 and -1. Now I say a of I is equal to X. What does this mean? A of I, what is the value of I? I is 0. Okay, so this means A of 0, that is 0th element. Now I say equal to X. What does that mean? The value of X is assigned to A of 0, so this becomes 90. So A of 0, this element should change to 90. Okay, this has changed to 90. Now I say I is equal to I plus 1. That means I had the value of 0, 1 is added to it, and that value is assigned to the I. I have explained these statements in previous programs, and we had a long discussions on it. Then now this is simply assignment statement. The value of I, previous value of I is used, that is 0 plus 1, and that becomes 1, and that 1 is assigned to the I. Now I becomes 1. Initially it was 0. Now A of I will not refer to 0th element. It will refer to first, it will not refer to the first element, it will refer to the second element. So A of 1, because index of the second element is 1. Now you see 20 has been stored in the second element. Now if I change I again, I has been incremented to the 2, and if I say A of I is equal to 45 now, it will refer to the third element, and this 45 will be stored in the third element. What I have cleared here is, once we give array index or subscript in the form of variable, the same statement A of I has different meanings at the different stages in the program if the value of I changes. Since this gives the great potential to the arrays that we can refer their indexes with the variables, thereby enabling us to manipulate and process arrays and input them and display them using the loops. You will see how we can do in the coming exercises on the arrays that I'll be doing in this IDE, and you will have further enhancement and exercises or practices in this concept. I hope you have enjoyed today's class, and in today's class I have discussed what are arrays, and I have discussed what is their size and what are the subscripts or indexes of an array. Then I have shown you practically how we refer to the array elements, how we can input the individual array elements, how we can get their values from the keyboard, how we can display their values on the screen, how we can use them in the arithmetic expressions, how we can use them in the left hand side of the assignment statements, and so on and so forth. Thank you.